Welcome to the show. I'm here with our resident Wolverine expert, Aaron McMahon, as we get ready for the Florida Gators. First down, what's the biggest question facing the Wolverines going into the opener?
I think it pertains to their youth. You've got a team that is young and experienced in certain aspects, specifically the right side of the offensive line. You've got a group that's relatively young, hasn't started a ton of games. You've got question marks in the secondary, specifically at cornerback. You've got guys vying for a job, but none of them have really stood out at this point, which can be concerning. And then you've got a group of young but talented receivers. I think they know who the guys are at this point, but it's just a matter of them kind of growing up and learning on the job.
And who do you think is going to be under center for that first game?
At this point, I think all indications say it's going to be Wilton Spate. You know, he was the guy last year. You know, he's kind of proven himself. Jim Harbaugh is kind of set at this point. It's between Spate and fifth-year senior John O'Korn. So at this point, I think it's going to take a lot for O'Korn to win the job. So if I was a betting man, I'd bet on Spate.
Second down, we have a reader question from Matthew Straley, who wonders, are we going to see 4 running backs from the Wolverines in the opener?
I do, and I think that goes back to the youth at receiving. You know, I think the Wolverines are going to be pretty reliant on their run game early on. They've got 3 guys who played pretty heavily last year: Chris Evans, Ty Isaac, and Karan Higdon. I think true freshman Kareem Walker, who put in some good practices prior to the bowl game back in December. I think he's ready to go. So I do think you'll see 4 at some point, and maybe early on even against Florida.
Third down, scouting report for the Gators.
They've got question marks just like Michigan. You know, they've got 3 guys competing for the starting job at quarterback. They're missing a weapon downfield in Antonio Callaway. If you guys recall, Callaway was one of the 7 guys suspended last week by the program. He was their top receiver. He was their top weapon. So, you know, having unsurety at quarterback, having no weapon down the field, it's going to make, I think, Florida a one-dimensional team, and I think that's where Michigan stands to benefit.
Fourth down, prediction time.
I'm going to go Michigan 21-17. The sports books have Michigan -4. I think it's going to be a low-scoring, closely contested game. I don't think you'll see either team kind of do anything, you know, out of the ordinary. But I think Michigan pulls it out in the end.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more optimistic. I'm not afraid of the SEC in this one. I think Michigan wins it going away 35-14. Thanks for joining us this week. We look forward to more of your reader questions, and come back next week when we look at the Wolverines' next opponent, the Cincinnati Bearcats.